While the Bitcoin price is going sideways, there's one metric that continues to hit new all-time highs. And Bitcoin OGs like Max Kaiser say that Bitcoin should be already over $500,000 per coin, just according to this indicator. So today we're going to be exploring why the Bitcoin hash rate hitting new all-time highs is more important than most people think. And we have a special treat for you guys because we got Frank Holmes in the house, executive chairman of HIVE Digital Technologies, the first publicly traded Bitcoin mining company, to explain what's happening in the mining space and why we're seeing nation states all around the world competing to mine as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. Anyways, before we start the show, I do want to bring up my legendary co-host, who's always optimistic, Optimus Fields, and of course, we got Frank Holmes in the house, who's getting ready to go to Europe, but he joined us today. Frank, how you doing?
I think he said he couldn't hear us.
I hear you now.
Oh, okay. He just
Frank,
said, how you doing this morning?
How you doing, Frank?
Outstanding.
Frank, so some big news coming out. So first, I want to talk about the hash rate because the hash rate continues to make all-time highs. Is there significance to it? Because Max Kaiser basically is making the case that the Bitcoin, that the hash rate precedes the price. Is there some truth to that?
I don't think he can hear us, Nico.
I can't hear him.
Oh, he can't hear you, Nico.
Oh,
okay.
That's so weird.
Opti. Right, so, Frank, what Nico was just saying is we're looking here at the hash rate, and he asked you or posed you the question, does the hash rate precede the price increasing? As a Bitcoin miner, what's your thoughts on this?
Yes, it does. What's going to happen is that you're going to see a lot of inefficient machines have to drop off. Unless they can get cheap electricity, then there's going to be less people competing. And so I think that historically, this creates that sea change.
Love it. Love it. Okay, let's see. Is Nico back?
Yeah, there we go. Frank, could you hear me now?
I hear you perfectly now.
Perfect. Okay, so it's just a small bug on Restream's end, but yes, going back to the chart that I pulled up. So, Frank, I think a lot of people were expecting essentially total chaos, the mining industry to essentially shut down when the China mining ban happened, but the exact opposite happened. A lot of that hash rate decentralized all around the world. A lot of it went to Texas. A lot of it went to Kazakhstan, and the hash rate recovered very, very quickly, and now it continues to hit all-time highs. Do you expect this trend to continue?
Yes, I think there's lots of countries that want US dollars, and so they're lighting up machines to get access to currency. And that was one of the concerns and points that were brought out, that Russia increases Bitcoin mining with its cheap energy sources so they can get US dollars.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is also,
you know what I think? I think we're getting into a scenario where you see other asset classes like gold, dollar, and Bitcoin all distance themselves from other paper currencies. The growth in Tether is sort of a signature that there's a strength and a need outside of America for US dollars. Otherwise, it wouldn't have grown to its power and its position. And when we saw this past week with gold and Bitcoin, they're in a very strong position.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I think gold is on the verge. I think it's at 3K. But Frank, you guys had some very, very exciting announcements over there at HIVE. This report that dropped on February 11th for our audio listeners, HIVE announces quarterly revenue of $29.2 million. Adjusted EBITDA of 17.3 million, with an increase in Bitcoin holdings to 2,805 BTC. So I have some questions regarding the report, Frank. So the Paraguay expansion and hash rate growth. HIVE is aiming for a 4x increase in hash rate to 25 exahashes by September 2025. And of course, that's primarily through its 300 megawatt expansion in Paraguay. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think the big highlight here is that for that past quarter, people didn't expect such robust results after the halving. And so even after the halving, we show very strong, healthy operating income, EBITDA, and revenue. So I think that that's what's significant. The other significant part is it's like over a 60% increase in our hodl position. And I think that that was something else that was important because we've done it organically. We have not done these funky convertible debs to go and buy Bitcoin from the open market. We have basically grown our position organically, and I don't think the street recognized that. And immediately we had upgrades coming from brokers, and Canaccord had a glowing report. So we're very efficient and effective what we're doing. But the picture is really simple when you look this year. We have the fastest expansion this year of all the Bitcoin mining companies. There's no one that has a 400% lift, and we have a critical path like having a baby in 9 months. We'll be up to Bitcoin where it is today, about 500 million in revenue. And when you look at those valuations for data centers business and throwing off over $200 million of EBITDA by that time, that's worth $2 billion market cap. So I think that that's why a lot of the brokers were reciting that they believe that we have $9 to $11 target price.
Absolutely incredible. And then, Frank, I have another question as well, which is HIVE's HPC business has reached a $10 million annualized run rate, and it's projected to generate $12 million in cloud computing and AI model training revenue by Q2 of 2025. How does this pivot towards AI and HPC complement your Bitcoin mining operations? And what long-term opportunities do you see in this space?
Well, there's lots of opportunities because we're seeing hedge funds come in and take a position and ride and tell them they have to reposition their surplus electricity for HPC, not Bitcoin mining. There's rumors of 15 exahash in West Texas where that energy is going to be shutting down Bitcoin mining going into HPC. So there's no doubt the HPC is a growth sector. And for us, we've taken our Ethereum mining chips, the NVIDIA chips, and we reposition them to, without hiring lots of people, without any great expansion, we've been able to get high margin business out of that. So our run rate, our goal is to get it up to 100 million in revenue, and that would mean we'd have to have 10 megawatts of electricity. And that's the goal. And we feel that we're on that cusp of having a significant increase in our HPC like we have now for our Bitcoin mining.
Absolutely. So also very interesting in the report included, Frank, which is HIVE reported $1.3 million net income after tax, a major turnaround from the $7 million loss in the same quarter of last year. What were the key drivers behind this financial improvement, and how does HIVE plan to maintain profitability in the face of the Bitcoin halving and potential market volatility?
I think the biggest thing is depreciation. The average company out there, the majority depreciate their ASIC chips over 4 years. We do it over 2. We have an accelerated depreciation, and every month we're upgrading the facilities with more efficient machines. That's our business model. So last year we had a much bigger depreciation charge compared to what we had this past quarter. But what really is important is your EBITDA and your operating income. And the team is very proud that even during the whole Celsius to FTX blow up and Bitcoin fell down to under $15,000, we still had operating income during that period. So now we've come off those lows and we continue to have even more robust operating income. And that's with the difficulty rising. So most people that if they haven't upgraded their machines and the difficulty word's gone, which you highlighted at the beginning of the show, they're out of business. There's no margin for them. Bitcoin would have to be $200,000 for them to have any type of margin. So what we've done on that strategy is to upgrade every month, new machines, old ones going off to other places.
Absolutely. And then, Frank, I wanted to ask you about Hive's Bitcoin holdings. For anyone who's listening right now, we just broke 1,000 live viewers across YouTube, Rumble, and X. Smash the like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first hour of the show. For anyone that doesn't know, Hive is the 13th largest Bitcoin publicly traded Bitcoin holder in the world. They currently just increased their Bitcoin holdings to 2,805 BTC, now valued at over $260 million, a 263% year over year increase. What strategic decisions allowed you to grow holdings while keeping shareholder dilution among the lowest in the industry, Frank?
Well, I'm a fund manager, so we have a very disciplined capital return on invested capital model. And at times we'll sell some Bitcoin, just like the fact that we can fast track our growth with buying Bitfarms operations and completing those. We've been public that we sold some because we've got that we believe is much more baked in, and then we'll quickly start to expand our hodl position. And our goal is to get back to being in the top 10 Bitcoin holders.
Yeah, and it's but you guys have a lot of Bitcoin. 2,805 Bitcoin is definitely no small feat. So, Frank, I have another question for you in regards to wait, where is it? Did I lose track? Here it is. So, Hive recently issued over 21 million shares, raising 87.5 million through its at the market equity program. How do you balance shareholder dilution with the need to finance growth? And how will these funds be deployed to maximize long-term value?
So part of that process, that money goes to upgrading with machines. Part of that process allows us to go and expand into Paraguay. But coming back earlier is that we have a daily huddle every morning over 9 time zones of where our cash flow is, what machines are working. And then every time we're going out to buy new machines for immediate delivery, it just costs money. And with that, we say, okay, well, what's the highest cash flow return on capital so we get our money back quickly? We came into a great deal last year in buying Bitmain equipment for Paraguay. So we've already spent a ton of money in preparation for that growth in Paraguay. And so that makes us comfortable. So I would say about half of those funds were buying equipment for expansion and for upgrading.
What are you the most excited about, Frank, for 2025? Of course, the political situation changed with the election of Donald J. Trump, the so-called end of Operation Choke Point 2.0, the expansion, of course, of the Paraguay facility, which I think Simply Bitcoin wants to go down there, make some content, and check it out if you guys would allow. So what has you the most excited about 2025? And what should shareholders know?
Well, the biggest thing is to execute on getting this production up to a $500 million run rate. When you have only 22 employees, we'll have incredible revenue per employee. We'll be the most profitable organization with the lowest G&A to mine Bitcoin. That's the goal. So if now is to stay very focused over like having a baby over the next 9 months, make sure that the mummy's healthy and the baby's growing, and that's what we're doing. And in addition to that, we have some exciting news of our HPC build out, and so that'll be coming next week.
We have someone in the chat that said that they just bought the stock. Does that mean they get a hat too, Frank?
Absolutely. Send it into Nathan fast, and he'll get it to you fast, not slow.
It's super, super fast. That's how you get all this merch. That's how you get all this Hive merch. Nathan at Hive Digital Technologies, ask him for some Hive merch and he'll hook you up. Anyways, Opti, I'm going to pass it on to you. Do you have any questions for Frank before? I know he has to catch a flight.
Yeah. I have one simple question, more of a general take on the whole mining industry. Considering the Bitcoin price has been, consolidating, kind of stagnant around 100K, how worrisome is this for a lot of the miners in the space right now if the Bitcoin price doesn't run? I know you're telling us you have a good balance sheet, but if things don't start moving, could this get really bloody for the mining space at large? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say that unless they have cheap energy, they're going to be very stressed. And so we've made many press releases of getting our terahashes down, the joules per second consumption of electricity. And so I think that a lot of people just take the money off the table and don't reinvest on a systematic way. I call it binge drinking. I'm a big buyer of these machines, and then you wait for the delivery, and then you get your money back, and then you wait for another cycle. That's over now. It's so competitive. If you're not regularly in the oil and gas business fracking, you have to drill all the time. If you're not upgrading all the time, you will have great difficulty as more people come into the network.
I have one more. Opti, did you
Yeah,
want to say something?
I don't know if we're gonna ask the same question, but I do have one slight question. You could go. I was thinking more of like, is the tariffs and all of this import stuff affecting miners coming into the States?
I think they find a way around it, getting stuff assembled in Malaysia, and then it comes into the U.S. or
Got it.
Vietnam. So, and as we all know, that a tremendous amount of equipment gets assembled now in Mexico for the last mile and comes into America around those tariffs. I think if a tariff goes against Mexico, then that would be significant. Much more so.
Awesome. Well, Frank, I know that you have to catch a flight, guys. If you want Hive merch, I'm putting it on the screen right now. Nathan at HiveDigitalTechnologies.com. You'll get the hat that Opti's wearing right now, the hat that Frank is wearing right now. We're at 1,500 live viewers. Frank, any final thoughts before you have to catch the flight?
Please see the webcast. You have the link there that walks through the slides that gives you a detailed competitive analysis against all the other crypto miners and shows you the wonderful value proposition that Hive gives investors. So I went through the CEO in wonderful detail on that. So I highly recommend you watch the clip.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
So
Have
guys,
a good weekend, y'all.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. I'm showing it on screen right now, and we'll share the YouTube channel as well. Thank you, Frank, for joining us on the show today. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. We got a loaded show for you guys. Appreciate Frank Holmes, Executive Chairman of Hive Digital Technologies, joining us. The first ever publicly traded Bitcoin miner. They're currently holding 2,805 Bitcoin. And again, if you want Hive merch, email Nathan at Hive Digital Technologies. Get that Hive merch today. Guys, we have a jam-packed show for you guys. So much news. Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund just announced that they own $436 million worth of Bitcoin exposure. It's just not only Abu Dhabi. Canada's largest bank has invested in Bitcoin. Goldman Sachs has increased their exposure. The state of Wisconsin Investment Board discloses $321 million of Bitcoin ETF holdings. Barclays reports owning $131 million worth of Bitcoin. So much bullish news. A Hong Kong-based investment company reported owning $599 million worth of Bitcoin exposure as well. And during the news segment, we're going to be talking about Tether. So Tether may be forced to sell some of their Bitcoin holdings as stablecoin regulation in the United States continues regarding the Stable Act and the genius act as well, and that might cause some downward sell pressure. Who knows? So we have a jam-packed show for you guys. Stay tuned. Smash the like button. This is the Friday special. And of course, Opti has the culture segment. Opti, what are we going to talk about during the culture segment before we start the show?
Yeah, well, the Podfather, aka Adam Curry, was on Joe Rogan. I believe it was yesterday, and Joe Rogan gets schooled on why meme coins are scams, why shit coins are scams, and so we always got to bring up a good little lesson here. And it sounds like Joe Rogan is starting to agree on the Bitcoin message. He's not fully there yet. We know holds a little Bitcoin, but we'll play that clip for you guys, and then we'll discuss it a little bit.
Absolutely. Guys, before we jump into the show, Simply Bitcoin is powered by our amazing partners. We get this question all the time. Nico, how do we support the show? Can we send you Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera? No, just check out our wonderful partners. They're awesome. They're going to help you on your Bitcoin journey. So I'm going to give a special shout out to our lead sponsor, bitcoinwell.com. Buy real Bitcoin, enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin on-chain or via the Lightning Network in Canada and the USA. To get started, you put in your email address, takes 2 to 5 minutes to get signed up. What makes Bitcoin Well different is that it's a completely non-custodial platform, empowering sovereign ownership with free automatic self-custody. If you're a higher net worth individual looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, check out their Bitcoin Well OTC desk. It's called Bitcoin Well Infinite. If you want an actual human being that you can call or text every time you want to buy or sell Bitcoin, Bitcoin Well Infinite is for you. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. And if you live in the United States, Americans can now get paid in Bitcoin sent directly to their personal Bitcoin wallet. Share your Bitcoin Well direct deposit details with your employer and set your Bitcoin/dollar split and receive sats instead of fiat with every paycheck. Guys, go check out bitcoinwell.com today. And if you use promo code SIMPLYBTC, you get 3 tosses into the wishing well every single time you win, and you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. That's right. All right, everybody, we're going to hit the numbers. We will be right back. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stampseed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stampseed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today. All right, everybody. I want to tell you guys about Stampseed. Well, I just told you guys about Stampseed. But if you use promo code SIMPLY, you get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com website. And don't write down your seed words on paper. Stamp them onto titanium. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $98,470. Block height, 883,765. Sats per dollar, 1,015. Market cap, 1.95 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 9.65%. Percentage issued, 94.4%. Decline from all-time high, negative 9.7%. Realized monetary inflation defined as money supply increase over prior 365 days, 1%. Again, continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a ton of back-to-back bullish news for you guys. The amount of Bitcoin that's being bought is absolutely ridiculous. Goldman Sachs, generally known for being a conservative wealth management bank, has increased its Bitcoin exposure to over 2 billion via the ETFs, according to its latest SEC filing. Canada's third largest bank, Bank of Montreal, invested $150 million in Bitcoin ETFs, primarily BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin ETF, according to latest filing. Next one, Abu Dhabi's Sovereign Wealth Fund. This was confirmed. This was a rumor that was coming out of the Bitcoin MENA conference. Now it is confirmed. Abu Dhabi's Sovereign Wealth Fund bought $436 billion of exposure to Bitcoin via ETFs in Q1. Now, what's really, really interesting about all of this is that the United States just announced a sovereign wealth fund. I'm telling you, if other sovereign wealth funds around the world are buying Bitcoin, there's a very high probability that the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund is going to buy Bitcoin as well. And by the way, this is a completely separate thing than the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. The Sovereign Wealth Fund initiative is led by Howard Lupnick. Howard Lupnick is the chairman of Counter Fitzgerald. Counter Fitzgerald manages all of Tether's money. Also, Howard Lupnick was on a podcast with Anthony Pompliano. In that podcast, he said that he plans to buy, using his words, not mine, tens of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and then hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And he's the man in charge of the U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund. What do you think is going to go in the U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund? I mean, it's not rocket science. And remember, guys, there's only 21 million. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. So eventually something's got to give and price is going to go up. State of Wisconsin Investment Board discloses $321 million Bitcoin ETF holding. Moving on, Barclays reports owning $131 million worth of the Bitcoin ETF. Going on, a Hong Kong-based investment company reported owning $599 million worth of Bitcoin exposure as of December 31st. Here's David Bailey, CEO of BTC Inc., which owns the Bitcoin Conference and Bitcoin Magazine. And he says, confirmed sovereign wealth fund buying from the world's biggest sovereign wealth fund. How is price not pumping? I think that's a really, really good point. And here is Anthony Pompliano, and then I'm going to open it up so me and Opti could talk about it. The world's largest sovereign wealth fund just told you they're buying Bitcoin. There will only be 21 million available. I wonder what happens now that nation states are here. You know what happens? It's going up forever, Laura. That is what is happening. So overall, incredibly bullish news happening everywhere. HIVE is kicking ass. ETFs all over the world are buying Bitcoin. Pension funds are buying Bitcoin. Endowments are buying Bitcoin. Opti is buying Bitcoin. Nico's buying Bitcoin. Everyone's buying Bitcoin. Eventually, number will go up because it's 21 million divided by, it's infinity divided by 21 million. Anyways, Opti, this is crazy. But I think I agree with Mr. Hodl's point. Like, why isn't the price going up, dude?
It's Bitcoin IOUs.
Like everyone's buying all this Bitcoin, but the price is still at 100K. What's going on?
Yeah, well, first of all, just to acknowledge, I think the big elephant in the room here is, sovereign wealth fund buying Bitcoin. We've been hearing rumors for a long time. Actually, it's like months now, a solid 1 or 2 months about sovereign wealth funds in the Middle East buying Bitcoin. They were kind of slow rolling that announcement, and now we get a huge announcement that they're buying a huge chunk of Bitcoin. And it really, I think, is putting the pedal to the metal in regards to what is the U.S. doing. They have to really start to kind of pick up on this trend here, or else they're going to be left in the dust. I would kind of argue they already are being left in the dust here. So if the U.S. doesn't want to lose here, they are going to have to get Bitcoin exposure and hopefully, buy Bitcoin straight. And I think that's the big elephant, in regards to the ETF is if they are buying, what was the numbers? That was like $1 trillion of buying pressure, right? Now, everyone's been kind of asking whether these ETFs are actually buying Bitcoin or not, or why is the price not going up? And as Mr. Hodl kind of said in there, if you guys saw the screenshots, it's like, are they really buying Bitcoin, or are they just buying Bitcoin IOUs? And I think this is the conversation we're all wondering. It's like, there seems to be so much institutional capital interested in Bitcoin. They're obviously buying the Bitcoin ETF. And if, depending on who you're listening to, you can, speculate whether they're actually buying that Bitcoin. And, I know Checkmatey's been on the beat on Twitter saying that, yes, you can actually not just Checkmatey, I think it's Sonny as well, has been saying on Twitter that you can look on chain and see where that Bitcoin is going and who's actually buying. And they seem to be buying all that Bitcoin, but we're all kind of sitting here at 100K wondering, like, man, is there really that many sellers of Bitcoin where all of this institutional capital coming into Bitcoin isn't pumping the price? Because, hey, 2017 or even 2021, if we heard that the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund was buying Bitcoin, it seems like the Bitcoin price would have pumped. And then now, considering that all these other institutions are buying Bitcoin, it's really kind of a head scratcher why the price isn't going up right now. But again, I think the U.S. needs to kind of kick things into high gear here, and we can't be sleeping and sitting on our hands, because now we know for a fact it's no longer just a rumor that a huge, sovereign wealth fund in the Middle East is buying Bitcoin. So yeah, Howard Lutnick better hurry up and get our sovereign wealth fund running and buying Bitcoin, and hopefully they're buying straight Bitcoin. Now, obviously, I don't think that that BlackRock the IBIT ETF would play games with Bitcoin right now. Obviously, they want their Bitcoin ETF product to do well. So I think they are actually buying that Bitcoin, but it is kind of interesting. And the speculation is definitely going wild on why the Bitcoin price isn't going up. There's so much buying pressure right now that I think the question we were asking yesterday, when Bitcoin does kind of break out of this chop consolidation, 100K consolidation, which way is it going to go? I think we can all kind of venture to guess that this is definitely going to go up and to the right, and it's going to be very violent. And you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. Now, the last thing I've been saying for a long time, with all of these people coming into Bitcoin and Bitcoin being legitimized by the suits and the institutions, the nation state FOMO, even some, very, very influential billionaire investors, it's really mind-blowing that people are still sitting on the sidelines and thinking, oh, this Bitcoin thing is going to die. I've already missed a bubble. From my vantage point, obviously, I have a bias here and I'm a Bitcoiner, and it just seems like it's a no-brainer at this point because of how many people are buying Bitcoin, and not just us, retail and Main Street, but some very big names are either totally invested in Bitcoin or at least getting some small exposure in Bitcoin. And you would think other people would wake up to this. It's like, if the smartest people, the richest people in the room are talking about Bitcoin, you think people would start looking for some Bitcoin. But I guess people are just waiting for the Bitcoin price to run. This 100K consolidation is just boring everyone to death. And, it's the classic meme where no one wants to buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin's dipping, or consolidation when it's boring. They only buy it when it starts running. So I guess people are going to buy Bitcoin once it breaks 100K. But man, the sovereign wealth fund news is huge. This is absolutely massive. Now, it's something I've been saying for a while, that I think this year, after a few couple quarters, we are going to see some really big names come out and announce that they are buying Bitcoin. And we actually have had that. So here we are. Things are getting crazy.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep. Sorry, camera overheated.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, no, things are getting crazy. We're winning. That's that I know 100%. And I think Orange Man was right when he said that in Nashville. You guys are going to get tired of winning. I mean, are you tired of winning, Opti? I mean, this feels good, bro. This feels good.
Wait,
Someone in the chat says
winning feels
BTC is
like?
truth. We were scamming everyone by buying BTC under 100K. I love that. That's so clever. Anyways, guys, you're listening to Simply Bitcoin Live. We're about to break 2,000 live viewers across all platforms, and we're at 522 on YouTube alone. Guys, smash that like button. Help us break 200 likes within the first hour of the show. So if you guys are listening to us on YouTube, smash that like button. And I have a question for you guys as well. If you guys believe that Bitcoin is going to break 500K or is going to reach 500K in 2025, drop a 1 in the chat. If you believe that Bitcoin isn't going to hit 500K in 2025, drop a 2 in the chat. And if you believe that Opti is bearish, drop a 3 in the chat. You're listening to Simply Bitcoin. Smash that like button.
Drop a 4 if Nico's the real bear.
All right, everybody. We still have a ton of content for you guys. Incredibly bullish news. Bullish Friday. HIVE's kicking ass. The ETFs are buying all the Bitcoin. We still have the ability to buy discounted Bitcoin because it's still under 100K. I mean, like, it's a good Friday. I think it's going to be a really, really good year. My spidey senses are telling me just that. Guys, stay tuned because we still have a lot of news for you guys. We're going to be talking about Joe Rogan talking about Bitcoin on his enormous podcast, the most popular podcast on the face of the planet. We're going to be talking about that during the culture segment. Also, news segment, Tether may have to sell some Bitcoin to comply with US stablecoin rules. We're going to get into all the details of that, why it matters, and it should be great. All right, everybody, stay tuned. We're going to hit the news segment. We will be right back. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Casa. Bitcoin security matters, but managing private keys can sometimes be complicated, especially multi-sig. What if you can secure your Bitcoin without worrying about losing a seed phrase or giving up custody? With Casa, you can completely control your Bitcoin with multi-key security, so even if one key is lost or stolen, your funds stay safe. No single point of failure, no stress. That's what I absolutely love about these guys. They make taking Bitcoin into self-custody incredibly easy with their best in industry user experience through their app. I've been personally recommending Casa for years now to my friends and family because they will get all the benefits of multi-key self-custody security without the hassle of having to learn complicated UI. And if you're thinking of one day passing on your Bitcoin to the next generation, their inheritance plan has you covered. Also, if you're a business looking to add Bitcoin to your treasury, do it the secure way with Casa for Business. To get started, go to casa.io today and get 5% off Casa Standard or Casa Premium with promo code SIMPLY. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They've built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin. All right, everybody, this is Opti. And right now, he's not on a cell phone. That's actually the Passport by Foundation devices. Not your keys, not your cheese. It makes taking self-custody of your Bitcoin incredibly easy. Use promo code SIMPLY to get a discount. Guys, take self-custody of your Bitcoin. The Passport makes that incredibly easy without sacrificing security. Promo code SIMPLY, not to get Opti, but to get a discount. All right, everybody. So let's jump straight into the Tether news. Tether may have to sell some Bitcoin to comply with US stablecoin rules. So let me break down what's happening here to give you guys a little bit of context why all this matters. Okay, so this is what's going on. The original theory was that Bitcoin was going to be the currency of choice for people in developing countries because their local fiat currencies were inadequate. They suffered from very high inflation. That was the theory by Bitcoiners. What ended up happening instead was mass scale adoption of stablecoins, specifically Tether, USDT. Now, as Bitcoiners, we didn't want that. We obviously wanted Bitcoin to be adopted and not another form of the dollar, or the dollar light, better said, but that didn't happen. So what I think is going to happen is that the fact that people in developing countries are adopting a non-local currency is a Trojan horse towards Bitcoin. Let me explain. When you download a Tether wallet, like for example, in Samson Mal, and we're going to be dropping that Volcano podcast very soon, the Aqua wallet, it has two forms of money that you can have on the wallet. You can have Bitcoin and you can have Tether. I believe that Tether, or stablecoins in general, are a Trojan horse for the adoption of Bitcoin. Let me explain to you why. If you live in the US, oh my God, what is happening? I think the camera overheated. If you live in the US, essentially, if you live in the US, you have the privilege of being able to save. And with that excess savings, you're able to buy Bitcoin. So the inflation rate, you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, you know what? My purchasing power is going down. But if you're in the developing world, you don't have that luxury. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You're living just to get by. So Bitcoin's volatility actually might de-incentivize you from adopting it. You want something actually more stable. So that's why I believe a lot of people in developing countries are wanting to adopt the dollar. Now, could they adopt the dollar by opening a bank account? No. They have to adopt the dollar by using stablecoins, by using Tether. And that allows them to download a digital wallet and they can receive and send Tether from that digital wallet. Now, what's happening in the United States is what a lot of people don't know is that Tether is one of the largest buyers of US Treasury bills, meaning they're funding the US government, right? They're funding the continuation of the fiat system itself, right? So what they're realizing is, oh my God, this is like a match made in heaven. Like essentially this fiat Ponzi thing that we have going, we could keep it going and we can expand global dollar usage via stablecoins. So that's the phenomenon that's happening, right? Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Nico, this is a Bitcoin show. What do I care about Tether? If you live in the US, you probably have never used Tether. There's no necessity for you to use Tether. Why? Because you can have a bank account. If you live in Europe, you can have a bank account as well. You don't have that privilege if you live in the global south. They won't let you open dollar accounts. But where I think this is going 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 5 to 10 years from now, is that when people start being able to save in dollars in those countries, they're going to come to the same realization that we've come to realize here in the developed world, which is, you know, the dollar is better than the peso. The dollar is better than the bolivar. But the dollar is still, forgive my language, shit compared to Bitcoin. So right now, they're just trying to keep their head above water. Once they keep their head above, it's like the hierarchy of needs, right? Once they keep their head above water and they're able to provide to their family because they're using a more stable currency that's not devaluing by 2 percentage points a month, and they'll be able to save, then you start to ask questions about the dollar. And that's where I always make the argument that all roads inevitably lead to Bitcoin. Because eventually the developing world, the global south, is going to come to realize, like, wait a second, this dollar is better, but Bitcoin is even better. And the reason that Bitcoin's even better is because every single block that's found, TikTok next block, it continues to prove that money can exist without inflation. And if money can exist without inflation, then like the racket's kind of over, right? So it's not an ideal situation. We obviously wanted a world where Bitcoin was going to be the currency that was adopted in the developing world. But the market is saying that isn't the case, right? So anyways, that's why it's important to talk about this. Tether also has a huge role in the Bitcoin ecosystem. It funds a lot of Bitcoin companies. And the Tether guys themselves are Bitcoin maxis, right? So imagine if the Tether guys were crypto maxis. Like, that would be horrible, because the Tether guys are only funding Bitcoin products and companies, right? And they also have one of the best Bitcoin conferences of the year, which is the Plan B. So it was Plan B in Lugano originally. They just did one in El Salvador, right? So it's pretty cool. I personally like them. I know Opti is not as much a big of a fan that I am. But it's important as Bitcoiners that we come to realize that, look, we're all free market maxis here, right? And the free market has spoken. And I don't think it's a negative thing. And I think it's a temporary thing. And I think it's a Trojan horse for Bitcoin adoption. And I think if you are someone in the developing world that is picking up a stablecoin wallet and you're using that to survive, you're getting exposure to dealing with the financial system through a digital wallet. And then eventually you're going to find Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not only the superior money, but also the superior asset, right? So anyways, I wanted to give that little bit of context before I dive into the article. So Tether may have to sell some Bitcoin to comply with US stablecoin rules. It goes on to say here the key facts. Tether could face challenges from proposed US stablecoin regulations. JP Morgan said companies suggest that Tether's reserves are only 66% compliant under the Stablecoin Act and 83% under the Genius Act. Bitcoin would be among the assets the company company may have to lighten up on. A Tether spokesperson said adapting to new requirements will be straightforward. So I think stablecoins are here to stay temporarily. I think over the long run, I think Bitcoin's going to win. But I think it's even more important. It's a call to action to all you guys to get involved, right? To educate your friends and family, to really get the people around you to come to realize what is Bitcoin, why they should be using Bitcoin. I also think it's a call to action that people need to, we need to be able to scale Bitcoin. The second layer solutions, Lightning has made a tremendous amount of progress, but it's not quite there yet. And the other thing that I'll say as well is that, guys, I wouldn't see Tether as an enemy. I would see Tether as a friend of Bitcoin. And I would say that the guys are maxis. And I would say that the guys want exactly what the rest of us want, which is hyper Bitcoinization worldwide, right? But the market obviously is showing that there is a market need for dollars in the developing world because people need a currency that isn't volatile. Anyways, Opti, that's my take on all this. I know you have I know that you have a difference of opinion. So if I'm ice, you're fire. What's your take on this, brother?
Well, I mean, just on this article, do I do the Tether stuff first? I guess, I don't use Tether. I'm not a fan of Tether. Maybe this is my first world privilege, showing or whatever. But with that being said, the Tether guys are actually Bitcoiners. Historically, during the block size war, they were on the right side of history there. Like they're Bitcoiners, and I will give them that. And also, and you guys can fact check me on this, but I think they are literally the most profitable company in the world right now. And they're a Bitcoin company or Bitcoin adjacent company. So it's hard to really hate on Tether as a company. Personally, maybe I'm being a high time preference here on this. And I just want to see more people actually end up in Bitcoin. I think my critical stance is usually on the idea that I think people will kind of get complacent and get stuck in stable coins. I personally have the view that stable coins aren't actually stable. There's always a chance, or rather inevitably it will unpeg from the stable aspects that they claim. But I'm just a Bitcoiner. I'm just like, look, just skip that step, go into Bitcoin. Now, on this article in particular, personally, this sounds like FUD to me. Like this sounds like a whole heaping load of FUD coming from JP Morgan. Obviously, from what I'm kind of reading between the lines, it seems like, JP Morgan is kind of looking at Tether as competition, and they're trying to FUD their bags here. And the Tether guys are like, aligning to the new requirements are going to be easy. It's like, this is minor. This is a cakewalk. So I think it's funny that it's coming from JP Morgan. We all know Jamie Dimon's stance on Bitcoin. Even though they're an authorized participant in the BlackRock ETF, they have very publicly been against Bitcoin. And Jamie Dimon is, I don't know if you want to say he's one of the, the final beast, or the final, competition to bring down. But Jamie Dimon is very entrenched in the fiat system. And so to me, it seems like he's looking at Tether as kind of competition, trying to FUD the competition and be like, oh, they're going to get absolutely wrecked. They're going to have to sell their Bitcoin. But personally, and I know, hot take from Opti being positive on Tether, this sounds like some FUD to me, Nico. I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, this sounds like JP Morgan is just kind of getting worried about the competition out there. I'm sure Tether's balance sheet is more profitable, well, at least in terms of the size of the company compared to JP Morgan, even though JP Morgan's one of the biggest companies in the world. Obviously, they make a ton of money. They're fully entrenched in the system. So I'm kind of just seeing this as FUD coming from JP Morgan. They're looking over at little Tether and they're like, how can we destroy these little guys? Because they seem to pick up on the game. Like, again, I think what is it? There's like very small people at the company, and they're making like billions of dollars per person at the company. I think you guys, again, fact check me in the chat, but I'm pretty sure they are like the most profitable company in the world right now, and that is just incredible.
They have like 50 employees, bro. And
yeah, 50 employees.
They made like 19 billion. Yeah, it's ridiculous. They make billions and billions of dollars, right? So yes, I think there's a couple things that could be true, right? Which is, all of us Bitcoiners, we wanted Bitcoin adoption. Developing world didn't happen. Developing world, the market wanted the dollar. The dollar was given to the developing world via Tether, and this is very lucky for us. Thank God the Tether guys are Bitcoin maxis themselves, right? So, again, you guys have to look, this is a separation of money and state. We're not going to get all the wins all the times, but you guys have to get used to this idea of compromises. You guys have to value the small victories that you do get, right? Like with the election of Donald Trump, like we got the repeal of SAB 121. We got the end of Operation Choke Point 2.0. Ross Ulbricht was freed. But simultaneously, it was a little bit of a letdown with the executive orders. Simultaneously, we got the release of Melania coin and Trump coin, right? So like you guys have to get used to, get the victories, win the battles. Because what I'm looking at is, are we making progress? Is that Overton window shifting? Because what is the political end goal here? We all have to be very transparent. The political end goal of all Bitcoiners should be simple. End central banking. That's it. End central banking. Are we heading in that direction? Absolutely. We've made so much progress in the last 6 months, but expecting everything to go perfectly every single time is incredibly naive. right? This is the real world. And guys, this is like we're fighting for a completely different world, a world where money isn't issued by the state, money is issued by the people, right? This is what we're fighting for. So we have to get used to and value the small wins, the big wins that we get, and the losses. We have to take them. We have to take them on the chin, and we just have to keep marching forward. And we have to be adaptable. We have to acknowledge what the free market is telling us and adapt to that. Because if we take this like cult, like, nothing matters, Bitcoin, like it's just like, I don't care. I think it's naive. I think it's not wise. And it again also betrays free market principles, man. You have to be open to this, right? So anyhow, Bitcoin's going to win. All the other, altcoins are going to lose. Bitcoin has superior incentives. And when I say altcoins, by the way, I'm putting the dollar in there too, right? The dollar is the ultimate, the initial shitcoin, right? What differentiates the dollar from XRP, right? What differentiates? They could just print it out of thin air. They just create it out of nothing, right? So anyhow, we're going to win this. We'll take it one day at a time. Narrative trench warfare on the battlegrounds of the internet for the hearts and minds of the people. And we're going to win this when everything is said and done. Anyways, guys, we're going to talk about the culture. We're going to talk about Joe Rogan, Adam Curry. Adam Curry was educating Joe Rogan on Bitcoin. It's so important. Talk about shifting the Overton window. This is how it happens. Joe Rogan, when are you going to have Michael Saylor on? Or Jack Mahler's? Like, why hasn't that happened yet? I mean, quite interested about that. Anyways, guys, we're going to hit the culture. We will be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, HIVE Digital Technologies. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's been battle tested through every possible market. And as the first with an AI strategy, HIVE continues to redefine the future of sustainable energy. Also, gotta casually drop this in here, HIVE consistently tops the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're changing the game. Learn more by following them at HIVE Digital Tech or check out their website, hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success.
All right, everybody. We are back. It's the culture segment. Smash the like button. Let me see how many likes we got. We got 232 likes. Help us break, guys. I'm gonna. This is a very ambitious goal. I'm gonna do it anyways. Help us break 300 likes by the end of the show. We're at 232 right now. 515 live viewers on YouTube. Smash that like button. If you guys are watching us on Rumble, the roughly 100 of you guys watching live on Rumble, smash the like button. And of course, if you're on X, smash that like button. Shout out to the 2,500 of you guys watching live right now. Opti, I saw this. It was a pretty big deal. What's your take?
Yeah. Me too. But before I give my take, I just want to kind of play the clip. But for you guys that maybe don't know who Adam Curry is, we call him the Pod Father. He's been doing podcasts forever. He's very much been on the forefront of podcast, independent content creation, and he's kind of a legend in the Bitcoin space as well, and of course the podcast space in general. He came on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan asked him a pretty simple question, and I think there's a lot to unpack here after this clip. So let me just play the clip, and then we'll chat about it.
Speaking of scamming, what do you think about shit coins? Like, what's your take on like Haktua coin, and Melania coin, and
those are more meme
coin.
more meme coins.
Shit coins, right? Isn't that what a meme coin is?
So the only coin I believe in is Bitcoin. We've talked about this before.
Right.
In fact, I looked it up, hoping you would bring it up. 2 years ago, when I was here the last time, Bitcoin was around $40,000. Today, it's close to $100,000. This will continue to go up until we're long gone. It's very interesting. So I don't believe in shit coins at all, because if you have Bitcoin has no CEO, there's no one in charge of it. It's literally tens of thousands of people around the world who run these nodes that make it open and make it run and keep it at this 21 million coin limit.
I'm totally down with Bitcoin.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Good.
But I think the shitcoin thing is fascinating, that anybody can create a coin.
Yeah.
You know, like Jamie has a pull it up Jamie coin. I don't know if you know that.
Well, but you
I did not make it. Don't put that on me.
You-
Do not.
It's out there now.
I mean,
now that you just said it, now that we just said it,
no.
because we brought it up yesterday with the Boneyard guy, with John Reeves, and we said, you should have your own coin. Get it the Boneyard coin. And now apparently somebody made one.
So this is you bring this up in context of scams, because they are scams. The way it works.
trouble.
So if I wanted to make a quick amount of money, I'd have a shit coin, and I'd have my bots ready, and I'd say, "Hey Joe, have you heard about my curry coin?" And you'd be like, "No, wait a minute," and it would come out and it would skyrocket. My bots would sell it. I would make a lot of money, and it would be dumped right away. It's a scam over and over and over.
But what
again.
if you don't sell it?
Yeah, then you'll have empty bits worth nothing.
But if you, so it's only available for pump and dumps.
That's the only thing it's good for. It's not good for
Absolutely.
anything else.
Yep.
Okay. Love it. Okay, Nico, before you rant, I do want to point out a few things, and then we'll kind of discuss it. First thing was the framing of the question in the first part, which is something we talk about here constantly on the show. The fact that we always have to kind of separate Bitcoin from shitcoins. And Joe Rogan, again, guys, I know a lot of people have been saying, or even Nico said it earlier, like, why isn't he brought on Saylor or Jack Mallers? Personally, I think Jack Mallers would be a better fit. But
Really?
Yeah, I think Jack Mallers would be a way better fit, because Saylor's a little too, autistic technical for Joe Rogan. We need Jack Mallers to go up there and kill it. But anyways, for a lot of times, a lot of Bitcoiners have been wondering, how come Joe Rogan isn't bringing on Bitcoiners? Is he a Bitcoiner? We know he's hodled, I think, about a quarter of a coin for a long time now. And just by hearing how he's having this conversation, you can tell that he understands the difference between Bitcoin and shitcoins. And he even said, when Adam Curry kind of did the whole, like, I only like Bitcoin bit, he's like, I'm totally with you on Bitcoin. Now, I didn't actually look up how many views this got, but Joe Rogan's the biggest podcaster in the world. So
biggest broadcaster, just
Yeah,
biggest
exactly.
broadcaster,
And
just
so-
not even podcaster. He's literally the biggest
one.
show on earth.
And so now, of course, hopefully a lot of his audience, the bro audience that watches Joe Rogan, hopefully they're starting to kind of go down the rabbit hole. Maybe this conversation will spark them going down the rabbit hole. And the second part, again, how Joe Rogan kind of framed this is he understood, he's even using the word shit coins. He understands that meme coins, shit coins are all only for pump and dump. It's basically only designed to steal your Bitcoin from you. And so I thought this was super interesting. First and foremost, of course, like the fact he posed the question as, you were talking about scamming people. What about these shit coins? And we're just like, yep, this is exactly the message we try to get across. He doubled down, agrees on Bitcoin. I think we could safely say now that he is a Bitcoiner. Maybe it's not like he's not obsessed with Bitcoin like we are, obviously.
But he understands. He understands the difference. Yeah.
The fact he's even joking about shitcoins being scams, pump and dumps, it just goes to show that the Bitcoin culture is starting to go mainstream. Like a lot of the memes and the conversations that Bitcoiners have been having for a long time are finally happening on the mainstream. And now it's not just some cringe stuff on the internet. It's like the biggest broadcaster in the world is having this conversation. And I think this just goes to show that we are slowly but surely taking over the world. And the Bitcoin message is going to go extremely mainstream. Obviously, we have to get past this whole shitcoin, meme coin stage. Like we have to separate.
I don't think it's never going to go away, in my opinion.
I agree 100% with you. I don't think gambling is going to go away, but I'm just saying, I think soon enough, the education level of people understanding that there is a fundamental difference between Bitcoin and shitcoins, I think that needs to kind of like run its course in the popular culture. Because right now, I don't know if you guys are on, other social medias or outside of the Bitcoin Twitter echo chamber, but meme coins are like an actual thing right now. And people think they're going to get rich off meme coins. And you're just like, man, like, I feel so sorry for you that you are getting absolutely wrecked. But I thought this was super interesting. This is what the culture is about. Like the Bitcoin culture is going mainstream. We have the biggest podcaster, biggest broadcaster in the world with the OG Podfather talking about Bitcoin. And he's talking about it in a way where he's understanding Bitcoin. So hey, to pose the last question, Nico, or the last conversation before you take, I think Jack Mallers would be a way better fit on Joe Rogan than Saylor.
Yeah, I mean, let us know in the chat, guys. If you think Saylor would be a better fit, put 1 in the live chat. If you think Jack Mallers would be a better fit, put 2 in the live chat. Saylor 1, Jack Mallers 2. Who would be a better fit to go on the Joe Rogan Experience? Saylor, put 1. Jack Mallers, put 2. Anyhow, before we continue, I do want to chime in a little bit on the whole meme coin phenomenon that's happening. So you have to kind of go through the beginning of shitcoins, right? Really started with like Ethereum in the 2016, 2017 era, right? We went through a bunch of phases like Bitcoin is a dinosaur. Bitcoin has no utility. You need a token. You need a token for Filecoin. You need a token for this. You need a token for that. This is like a privacy coin. This coin does something different. But over time, people started to realize that you don't really need coins or tokens for any of these projects. So like a lot of the layer 1, tokens like Ethereum or like whatever, like people realize like there's not really any utility to this. Like people are just buying them because the number is going to go up. And essentially meme coin is like the last evolution, where essentially the token creators themselves aren't even trying to sell you that the token has a utility, because no one was buying Ethereum or Solana for utility. People were buying Ethereum and Solana because they wanted to get rich on them, right? The meme coin is the last evolution of shitcoinery, because it's basically saying like, look, like we're not even going to try to tell you or try to sell you that all these coins have utility. We're just going to straight up tell you like, look, you like Doge, the meme? Well, we got a Dogecoin and it goes up, right? It's kind of like a very similar phenomenon to what happened with the whole GameStop thing, right? Like people weren't buying GameStop because of the fundamentals of the business. They were buying GameStop because they had a lot of good memories when they were younger, going to video game stores and getting the latest, greatest video games. And there was these hedge funds that essentially were trying to short GameStop out of existence. And then the people rose up and said, no, enough is enough. Roaring Kitty made a fortune out of this. That's what meme coins are. They're the last evolution of shitcoinery. And I actually have a lot more respect for the meme coins than I do for the layer 1s and the layer 2s like Cardano and Ethereum and whatever, all that. I don't even know. There's so many XRP that are pretending to be something in addition to Bitcoin. Like, we're not money. We have smart contract functionality, and we're going to be the settlement player for banks, the settlement layer for banks. No, you're not. That's bullshit. All you want is for people to pump your bags. And the vast majority of Cardano holders, of Ethereum holders, of XRP holders, they don't give a flying F about the technology underneath them. What they care about is, are these coins going to pump? And meme coins is the final evolution, because they're literally straight up telling you, like, there is no fundamental technology. We just want the coins to pump, right? That's what it's all about. So, at least meme coins wear it on their chest, versus a lot of these shit coins, they try to obfuscate it behind supposed utility. So yeah, man, I mean, I think they're always going to be around. I think there's like 11 million of them now, and they're all pump and dumps. They've always been pump and dumps, and maybe not in dollar terms, but in Bitcoin terms, 1,000,000%. If you look at every altcoin and you compare its valuation to Bitcoin, they're all on a downward trend. Every single one of them. Maybe some have made all-time highs in dollar terms, but in Bitcoin terms, it's always down, right? Everything loses value towards Bitcoin. That's what you guys have to fundamentally understand. Make your unit of account, make your net worth in Bitcoin. Don't make it in dollars, right? And then you're going to start looking at the world totally different. You're going to look at investments totally different. You're going to look at real estate totally different, because everything loses value towards Bitcoin and its absolute scarcity of 21 million, and the inability for anyone to manipulate and change the rules of Bitcoin to benefit themselves. And that's in stark contrast with every other altcoin, including the dollar. They can inflate it into infinity. They can change the rules to benefit themselves. Bitcoin is only the true sound money. Also, I kind of dropped a joke when Opti was playing the Curve Opti coin. No, it's Simply Bitcoin is a Bitcoin maxi show. We only support Bitcoin. We only talk about Bitcoin. So if there's any degen out there that makes an Opti coin,
it is not coming from me.
That
okay,
does not come
if you
from
can
us.
hear me, I did not create a shit coin.
That does not come from us.
I would never do that.
We are 100% Bitcoin only focused show, and we will always be a 100% Bitcoin only focused show.
Hey, Nico,
anyways, man,
before you wrap
I
up the show,
I really enjoyed the Friday episode, dude, and the audience did as well. We appreciate all the love from you guys.
I got one last thing. While you were talking, I was thinking of, if you've been in Bitcoin for a long time, you've heard it from the shitcoin space that, whatever flavor of the day is going to flip Bitcoin in price. And I was thinking while you were running that down, that the real flippening now is the amount of shitcoins that have been created will surpass 21 million. So that's going to be the real flippening we've ever seen. 21 million hard cap. Now we're at 11.35 million shitcoins. The real flippening is when the amount of shitcoins created passes 21 million. That is coming soon.
Absolutely. People are saying my sound is off. Do you hear it?
I'm hearing you. Let me see.
That's weird. Anyhow, people are saying my sound is off.
I'm hearing you.
Okay, well, people are saying no sound. Could you wrap up the show?
Hey, all right. Well, hopefully you can hear me. We'll see what happens. I'm hearing Nico on my end here, but guys, let's just do this. Let's boot him. Let's just boot him from the show. All right, guys, it's finally my show. No, I'm just I'm just trolling. Thank you guys. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. It's have a good weekend. It's Friday. Actually, it's Valentine's Day. So I know you guys don't have girlfriends, but if you did have a girlfriend, maybe take her out to a nice dinner. I know you got to drop some sats for that, but hey, it's all about building the relationships and continuing the relationships. So we love you guys. We will see you Monday. We'll be back for our normal show Monday through Friday, roughly around 12:15 p.m. every single day. On that note, I'm Opti. That was my boy Nico, and we are Simply Bitcoin. So we will see you on the flip side. Have a good rest of your day. Peace out.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.